Ton of things we want to talk about today, starting off with one of your favorites, Fintech darling SoFi. There's been some news on the horizon for the stock, essentially the biggest being the student loan moratorium. It's been here, this moratorium has been here since the pandemic. Reports say it's finally going to end within the next few weeks. Could this be the final shoe to drop for SoFi stock to finally enter rally mode?
So SoFi obviously built its fintech empire on the back of student loan refinancing specifically. That's where they cut their teeth in this industry. The company has since become a lot more than that, and that's why we like the stock, why we like the company long term. We think it's become the Amazon of finance. It's a place you can trade stocks, trade cryptos, have a checking and savings accounts, learn about finance, set budgets, apply for loans beyond just student loans, car loans, all that stuff. So we think it's a very interesting platform. But at the end of the day, the overwhelming majority of revenues come from the student loan refinancing business. That business has been essentially put on hold because in the pandemic, there was a decision made by the U.S. government to put a pause on student loan repayments. Now, that's a big deal because there's more than $1.5 trillion in outstanding student debt in the U.S. economy today. So U.S. economy is a $20 trillion beast, $1.5 trillion student debt. So we're talking a big slice of the pie here, very significant slice of the pie. The Biden administration expects to, by the end of this month, probably within the next week, deliver a decision on what they're going to do with the student loan moratorium. Are they going to extend it? Are they going to cancel student debt? Are they going to cancel some student debt? Are they going to just, resume all payments without any cancellations? It's become a real political hot topic because obviously there are a lot of students out there that probably voted for Biden that want their student debt to be canceled. They don't want those big payments. But on the other side of the coin, you have inflation as this massive problem. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at the numbers, U.S. student debt, it's been above $1.5 trillion for several quarters now. So, and it's not declining. So it's not like these students were given a pause in payments and then decided to go ahead and pay down some of that debt. Instead, what they've done is just not service the debt. And that gives them extra spending money. So whatever money these people are saving from not paying student debt bills, I'm sure some are definitely paying down the debt, but the data says the vast majority are not. So that's an extra, couple $100 a month that is going towards spending on restaurants, spending on travel, spending on clothes, spending on food. That's an inflationary factor, right? So the Biden administration has to look at things like, okay, do we want to potentially anger, upset, frustrate a handful of students, or do we want to potentially exacerbate the inflation problem, which is impacting 340 million Americans and even the entire globe, 7 billion people, right? So they have to look at that. And I think the choice is pretty obvious. The Biden administration wants to do everything possible to improve the inflation situation. We all know the Biden administration has a very low approval rating. We know that. That's what all the surveys say. And we know also, according to those surveys, that the biggest contributing factor of that is inflation. So goal number one in the White House is fix the inflation situation. The way they do that, one of their biggest tools in their toolkit right now is to restart student loan payments. So it looks like what the Biden administration is going to do is they're going to cancel $10,000 worth of debt per student if that student makes less than, or adult, if that person makes less than $125,000 a year. And that seems like a very good middle ground here. It's going to allow them to live up to the promise of canceling some student debt, yet also restart ostensibly, but yet also restart the payments for what's going to be about 90% of people. And the average student debt is about $30,000 per head. So $10,000 cancellations, only 33%. You still got 67% to pay off. So I think that restarting is going to happen in September. And it's going to do two things. One, it's going to create a big deflationary impact on the US economy. You're going to have all this spending, this extra spending that I think, what is it? Something like 40 million Americans have student debt. I forget the number. It's a large number. Anyways, that all these Americans have this extra spending cash. It is now going to go towards servicing debt, and that's going to be less spending towards discretionary items. That's disinflationary by itself. Number two is it's going to be a massive positive for, yes, SoFi. SoFi, remember, this is a company that is growing like wildfire without student loan payments, right? Student loan payments are on pause and the company's still growing 50, 55, 60, 65%, 70% year over year. It's still doing that. What's going to happen if all of a sudden, boom, these student loan payments restart? This company's growth narrative is going to meaningfully accelerate into 2023. At the same time, you're probably going to get some disinflationary tailwinds for the economy into 2023. At the same time, you're probably going to get some sort of dovish evolution from the Fed into 2023. You put all that together and you have a concoction for what could be a pretty meaningful, large, significant, use whatever word you want, enormous breakout in SoFi stock. You know, we had that massive quarter. The stock had that huge jump. SoftBank came out and said they're going to sell. The stocks retraced some of those gains. That was SoftBank selling. Now SoftBank's out. Student loan repayments start. Boom, off to the races. I think the stock can get to $20 within 12 months. I really, really love that name. And even in $20 in 12 months, I'm not a seller. Because I think this is a 40, 60, 80, $100 stock. This is a secular compounder for the next decade. Getting in now is like getting in Amazon in 2002. I think it's a fantastic value proposition with catalysts on the horizon, so you're not going to have to wait that long. That's my 2 cents on SoFi.
So what happens if instead of what you're saying, the $10,000 forgiveness, that they just extend the moratorium for another determined amount of time moving forward? They don't have the numbers yet.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen, Aaron. Not going to happen. Just it's like I literally view that. I mean, I've said stagflation is like a 2% chance of happening. I think the Biden administration extending the student loan moratorium is a 0.01% chance of happening. This is an administration that needs to fix its approval rating before the midterm elections, that needs to fix its approval rating before 2024. They know the big reason for their low approval rating is inflation. They need to solve the inflation picture. If they what the biggest tool they have to solve the inflation picture is the student loan moratorium, or rather taking that back and making students pay their debt. That is a way for them to fix inflation. It is a tool they have right at their disposal. It's going to be meaningful, and they don't have to do anything fancy schmancy or jump through any hurdles. They literally just have to say student loans back on. So I think there's a very small chance that they extend the moratorium, and an equally small chance they just forgive all student debt. Reports again are $10,000 per head for people making less than 125 grand. So that means the bulk of student loan payments are going to restart in September. I think that's
is there a likelihood that that number is higher than 10,000?
Yeah, I mean, it could be 15, it could be 20. I don't think that's really all that meaningful for the SoFi story. I think it'd be meaningful for the inflation story. But again, the SoFi story, this is a company that's growing 50, 60, 70% without any of these payments happening, right?
Yeah.
So this is just fuel to the fire. You know, the fire is already burning bright. People love SoFi. People are just flocking to the platform. The people that are on the platform, the so-called members, are using multiple products. Products per member is growing. Revenue per each product is growing. Like, everything about the unit economics of this company are fantastic. Everything is fantastic. You throw more student loan payments on top of that, and boom, that's how you get a rocket ship type stock over the next 12 months. So I'm really not concerned about how this plays out for SoFi. I think the only thing that breaks SoFi's back would be a complete cancellation of all debt and or an extension of the moratorium indefinitely. And I view both of those outcomes, 100% cancellation or indefinite extension of the moratorium, I view both those outcomes as together less than 1% likelihood of happening. So from that perspective, I think the odds are overwhelmingly in favor of SoFi bulls at this point in time for the stock to go to 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 20 within the next 12 months. I think there's a clear runway for massive, massive upside in this tiny stock.
Thanks for watching HGI Clips. For the full episode, head on over to our sister channel at Hypergrowth Investing by clicking the link in the description or listen to the podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms. We make new episodes every Wednesday, so make sure to check it out and subscribe to never miss any of Luke's Hypergrowth insights.